Hi, this is Rachel from Rachel Reads, and today I'm going to be interviewing two authors, Sharon and Tommy. Sharon has written A Mad Wiccan Foley, and Tommy has written We All Looked Up. So before we begin, can both of you give a synopsis of your book for viewers who have not read it yet?
Who's going first? Tom, you go first. You want me to go first?
Sure, we'll go alphabetical.
Okay. Yeah, right. Okay, so Mad Wicked Folly is about a young girl, is Edwardian, who would like to be a painter. She wants to paint the figure, the undraped figure, which is the nude, and she's sort of thwarted in that attempt, and she ends up, through circumstances, joining the suffragettes and fighting for the suffrage movement. It was given, let's see, it's on the American Library Association Top Reads for Young Adults, 3 book lists, top 10s, and the Amelia Bloomer Award for Feminist Literature. And then I'm also the author of The Forbidden Orchid, which is about the Victorian plant hunter and the girl who travels with her father to find, like I'm starting to babble now, to find a rare flower to save her family from debtor's prison. Okay, ta-da, that's it. Now you
go. My book is about 4 teenagers who all go to the same Seattle area high school. And at the beginning of the book, everyone on the planet finds out there is a giant asteroid coming at the Earth in about 2 months, and it has a 2/3 chance of landing. And the book just takes place in that 8-week period as these 4 characters, their lives begin to sort of intertwine, and they try to figure out how to make meaning of the time they have left.
Very nice. Thank you both so much. So first, I want to start off by, Sharon, you said that you have some interview questions for Tommy. I would love to hear them. Yeah. You got me interested. You showed me the whole list. You showed me all those questions. I want to hear them.
We have an ongoing thing that I'm genie to his Ferris, so I always want to, whenever I can choose a time to be smug, and that's what I'll choose. Actually, I just thought of these like 5 minutes ago, so they're
nice.
Kind of
Perfect.
Okay,
Perfect.
so I'm happy to answer these questions too if you want me to. Okay, you ready?
We'll go back and forth.
Yeah. Okay. Where do you live? Just gonna jump in with hard questions right now.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna just make you. You have to return all these. I live in Brooklyn, in Bushwick, a neighborhood of Brooklyn. That's where I live.
I live in Bedford.
You live in Bedford.
We're like neighbors.
I'm off the Morganell. Where are you?
I'm off the G on Myrtle Avenue.
Nice.
And Lafayette.
Yes. Brooklyn. Where are you, Sharon?
I live outside of Chicago in northwest Indiana. I live about a mile from Lake Michigan on an organic farm with several animals. These are the indoor livestock, and there's outdoor livestock. And I'm in the sort of library. I have another place right outside, but it doesn't get a good internet connection, so I'm inside.
Gotcha. Is that a Mary Cassatt painting behind you? What's behind you?
That is one of my dad's paintings.
Oh my God, it looks really lovely.
Yeah.
It does. I really like it.
My dad's an artist, and he is one of my biggest inspirations. He's actually a violin maker right now. He does that. So we both sort of live in different worlds. It's one of the reasons why I love historical fiction so much. I like to see how things, were made a long time ago, and my dad's always really into that, and so he likes to figure out how people did things way back when, and he's just a really kind of a famous guy in the music world, and he works on really expensive violins, and I kind of follow along behind him and see what he does, and it's really kind of cool. I got to hold a Stradivarius in February, and I nearly threw up. So
you gotta be careful with that.
I handed it right back to my dad. I'm like, no. Even though I play the violin, I'm like, get. I just, when you are, when you're like on like you're up in a high place, you start imagining yourself jumping out the window. I don't know if you guys do that, but
of course.
What would happen if I jumped out the window? And then I'm thinking, what would happen if I just this violin? So I'm like, no, let's give it right back. Let's not. I just sound like a freak.
I think everybody has those thoughts. The
Yeah.
whole entire, what if I did this? Because I'm capable of doing it. So what if it happens?
Writers, I think, really do, because we're trained to sort of go for the most dramatic gesture that there is, and you sort of have to stop your brain from, doing that. So, okay, next question. How did you meet John Cusick, who is our
agent? Our agent.
Yes, he's more than that.
And lover, right? Mm-hmm.
Pastor, yeah.
Agent and lover.
Yeah.
No, I didn't meet John at all in real life. I sold this book the old-fashioned way. I think I sent it to 80 agents, and
wow,
one of the 80 offered me representation, and that was John.
Yeah.
But,
we have the same story.
Yeah? What was yours? Really the same?
Oh, close enough, yeah. I'd written like a million other novels that deserve not to see the light of day, and the one that was pretty decent, I sent out to a ton of people, and they were all like, ugh, historical fiction doesn't sell, blah, blah. And a friend of mine I'm going to keep this short, a friend of mine had found her agent on Twitter, and I thought, what is this Twitter? Let me explore. So I've been on Twitter for like a month, and I followed him because he liked whiskey, and I like whiskey, so I thought that's really cool. This guy drinks. So it was like midnight, and I was scrolling through my Twitter feed, and it's just, how you like give it a spin, and like all the faces go by, and I was like, John. And he said, looking for Downton Abbey type YA. And I was like, what? And it was about midnight, and I very nearly scrolled past him. It was like The Price is Right, that big wheel that comes down. So I said, I didn't even really know how to do it, and I'm like, I have one. And so he sent me the link, and I filled it out on the Friday. He read it on the Monday, and he was tweeting like how great this one book was, and of course I'm like, that's not me. And then he called me on the Tuesday, signed me, and then 2 months later sold it to Viking.
Boom.
So yeah, same pretty much.
Wow.
Yeah. I probably wouldn't be published today if it weren't for John. He's great. He's like that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So when did you meet him in the real life?
In the real life, I met him not long after, because we both live in New York, so that was easier. I was in California. Why was I in California? I was in California when we first started communicating, but then I met him, a couple weeks later, a couple weeks after he signed it, I met him. Yeah. Sorry. They start fist fights around my chair whenever I start doing something important. No, that's enough. No. Okay. So.
Is that your dog? Can you see your dog?
3. Hang on. Come here. I don't know if you can see her. Come on, Lemony. This is a dog I adopted from a Greek island. That's another story.
Wow.
Oh, no, just be quiet. Be cool. So I met John in the real life. I flew to New York to hang out with some friends of mine, and I went and I met him. I met him in Vicky Lane, who's, Vicky, right? Vicky, yeah.
I do.
We met at this really cool cheese place just outside of the Flatiron. You know that place?
I do, yeah.
Yeah, and that was really cool. I was really nervous, but they put me at ease right away. And then I met Lila the next day. I went to Viking, Lila Sales. Would you come on? I met Lila Sales the next day, and we went out to lunch, and I don't even remember. I just ordered what John ordered because I was so nervous. I couldn't even think, and I'm like, I'm gonna choke on something. I just knew it. And so like something easy to eat, something I could. So and John said, "Do you mind if I have a glass of wine?" I'm like, "Thank God." So I was just sort of. He probably thought I was really crazy because I was just ordering what he was ordering.
Is Lila your editor?
Yeah, Lila's my editor.
I didn't realize that. I see her all the time.
Well, you sat next to her on that panel, didn't you?
I did indeed, yeah, because she's an author too.
Yeah, she's so awesome. I love Lila. So yeah, she's my editor on both books. So.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah. So it was really great. I didn't have to be so nervous, but I get really nervous around people, and so they put me right at ease. It was really great.
Great. Well, I'm going to actually ask one of my questions now, and then we can go back to yours, Sharon. One of my questions is there a message in your novel that you want readers to grasp?
All right, hang on a second. I got to put my dog in the crate.
Yeah,
okay, Tommy, we'll start with you.
Tommy, start.
I've answered this question today, so I have a very prepared answer for it. The thing that's great about YA in general, relative to literary fiction, which is mostly what I read. I don't really read YA, but the thing that I love about YA is that there's a lot more room to address certain philosophical issues very, very directly. Whereas literary novels certainly address them, and they address them very deeply, but they can't do it quite as directly because the readership is just, because it's older, it's more used to the ideas, and they need to be presented, I think, a little bit more subtly, which is good in some ways, but in other ways, it's not good. And one of the things that I loved about writing my book was that I was able to just really directly have the characters discuss the things that are most interesting to me, namely sort of how to be a good person and how to live a valuable life. And they could just talk about it directly, without a lot of irony, because that's what kids are trying to figure out when they're that age, and they really do have those conversations. So in terms of a takeaway, I think just having kids think about those big, deep questions was the most important thing for me. Sharon?
What's the question again?
The question is there a message in your novel that you want readers to grasp?
Okay, yeah, that's what I thought it was. I really want my readers to understand that the the better life is often down that rockier road. That your dreams matter, your voice matters, and what you have to say matters. And it doesn't matter your gender or what you look like or who you are. That you have a right to speak out. And I have heard back from readers who've gotten that, and that really makes me happy. Who said, that reading the book really changed them, and they hadn't realized how hard women fought for a voice. And I like to say it that way, not so much just fought for the vote, because the vote is one thing, but really behind it, it was a voice. That they were fighting to be heard for their individuality, that they had a right to their opinion. So yeah, I think that's important for girls and boys, obviously, and young adults, of course, and even adults, to understand that what you have to say and what you feel is valid. Yeah.
Very nice. So my next question is, what was the hardest and the easiest part about writing your book? And Sharon, will go with you this time.
Okay, the hardest part about writing my book was, I think probably when I was into like the third revision with Lila, and I was sort of like really stumped. I had to take out this one piece, and I didn't know what I was going to put in its place, and I was just devastated. I thought I couldn't do it. I just really came up. It really was the dark night of the soul. And I remember going to the kitchen and saying, just like bursting into tears to my husband, like I thought I could do this and I can't do this. I just can't. And sometimes when you're at that space or in that headspace, just keep going a little while longer, because there's something good at the end of that. And you're just what's happening. I learned this, and what's happening is that you're sort of already exhausted the obvious choices, and the choice that you don't know is there, but you haven't really sorted through it yet. And I learned sometimes you just have to go to bed and keep a notebook by your bed, and usually when you wake up in the morning, the answer will be there. Or you've written yourself into a corner, and sometimes that happens too, and you have to back yourself all the way out to where you made the wrong turn and then go from there, instead of like the scene behind it or behind it. So that was the hardest part. It's I've kind of learned that, and it's really good that that happened. And probably the easiest. Did you say the easiest part or best part? I can't remember the
You
easiest
said
part.
the easiest, yeah, the easiest and the hardest.
The easiest part was writing the characters because I knew their voices really easy. I knew, some characters are hard nuts to crack, but my characters really sort of jumped out on the page. There were two hard nuts to crack. Lucy and Sophie were a little bit harder because I wasn't sure how they were going to fit in with Vicky's story. But Vicky was really easy, Edmund was really easy, and Will. And listening to their voices was really fun because it's like you're inventing something and it's like it's alive. So yeah, writing characters is really fun. I enjoy that part a lot.
Well, now my next question is.
Tommy has to answer it. He didn't answer it.
No, she has a different question. Let her moderate, Sharon.
I'm so sorry.
That's all right.
I totally forgot you, Tommy.
She's moderating. I don't need to answer all the questions.
Oh, I was totally blanking. I thought you answered. I'm so sorry.
Oh, I don't care.
Yes, come on.
I have no horse in this race. So am I answering that one? Okay.
Yeah, you're answering that one.
Sure.
Otherwise, it's not that.
Right. It's very similar to yours, actually. The hardest part was the second half of the book, which is a large part to be the hardest part, but it was the hardest part. I had to rewrite it twice, like once, so I'd already written it, and then I worked on the whole second half with John, and wrote almost the whole thing from scratch, the second half. And then when it sold, I had to do it all over again. Basically rewrite the whole second half from scratch. So it just was terrible. I mean, with my second book, I actually had to rewrite the entire book twice over the exact same way. So wow. I guess it could have been worse because it was then worse for the second book. So that was hard. I think just figuring out, I think that almost anybody can set up a decent story. I think that's actually pretty easy, and it's a very small subset of people, and I'm not counting myself in it necessarily at all, but I'm just saying, like, the number of people who can actually make it come off well is entirely different. I didn't watch Lost because I respect myself and my time, but I knew from watching 2 episodes of Lost, and I'd like it to be known that I was correct, and I would tell people this for years. I said, they don't know what they're doing, and if you're enjoying the journey, enjoy the journey, but there's nothing there that they're working towards. Like, they're just going to end it at some point, and everyone's going to be really mad, and it's really obvious. And I was right.
Yeah.
So setting up like a world of craziness and all sorts of things is easy. Making it come out right is really, really hard. And I didn't, maybe I pulled it off at the last draft. I don't even know that, but I definitely didn't pull it off the first, couple of tries. So that was hard. Easiest part, again, really similar to you, Sharon. When I first sat down to write out the characters effectively, I knew there would be 4 of them. I knew it was going to be 2 boys and 2 girls, and I wrote out sort of paragraph-long descriptions of each of them in maybe 20 minutes, and they never changed. Those were the 4 characters from that day until publication day. So bizarrely, that came really, really easy. I don't know why, though. It's just you get some things and other things are harder.
Yeah.
So are you guys one of those authors where you say that the characters write themselves, or do you, because I know some authors say that, the characters take themselves and go in a direction, or do you write in another way?
Well, yeah, I know. Sometimes that happens where you're like, wow, I didn't ever think that that's what she wanted to be. I thought she was this. So yeah, it does. I mean, these are fictional characters after all, and they're not real talking through you. But yeah, sometimes you think, oh, okay, so because this character I've given her these sort of good things and bad things, ways of being, ways of speaking, it's going to lead you down a different path. So if you remain true to the character, sometimes they go in a way that you didn't think they would go in. So yeah, that does happen. What about you, T?
T-Money?
What do you think, T-Money?
S-Funk? That is definitely not me. Though I'm always sort of blown away by those people who clearly are in some world that I'm not. I was just at the Prince Awards, and when Jandy talked about her book, she she talked about how the characters came alive to her and they would like speak to her when she wasn't writing and she'd think they were in the room and like all of this stuff. And yeah, I mean, you're like cringing, and I'm like, awesome. You're a crazy person, but like awesome because it resulted in a really good book.
Yeah.
But for me, the characters sadly have no life of their own whatsoever. They're entirely an intellectual exercise, and they don't do anything that I didn't tell them to do, which is such a bummer. It would be so much more exciting if they just like showed up and did crazy stuff and wrote my book for me. But I remember, I went to a reading that Zadie Smith did, and she was kind of a jerk, by the way. But the interviewer asked her if like which of her characters was her favorite. And she kind of like bristled, and she said something along the lines of, why would I have a favorite character? Like I wrote them all. I don't think of them that way. It's a book. I mean, she just was like, what are you talking about? Like, how would I have a favorite? Like, it's all just like I wrote a book. And I wouldn't be that dramatic about it, but I'm closer to that camp. You know what I mean? Where it's like, I built, it's all made up BS from my head. So like.
You built that city on rock and roll, though, didn't you?
That's the truth. That's what matters.
So, now we're going to play a game called Would You Rather.
I love this game.
Who don't know, for those of you who don't know what Would You Rather is, I would ask Tommy and Sharon something like, would you rather eat apples or oranges for the rest of your life? And then they'd have to say either apples or oranges. Except this is book-based. Okay. So the first one is, would you rather read only trilogies or standalones?
Tommy.
That's easy for me. That's very easy for me. So as I said, as weird as it sounds, I don't really read YA. And it's not because I have any kind of weird judgment about YA. I write it. Like, I don't, But for some reason, it just doesn't like call to me very often, and so I don't. So that's easy because in other fiction, there are almost never any trilogies. I'd be sad. There's some great trilogies out there. I'd be super bummed. But yeah, it would be standalone for sure.
Yeah. I'm going to say standalones, too, because I'm not really into dystopian, and I think dystopian novels tend to be trilogies. Yeah? Am I right? Right. I mean, I love the Hunger Games. Yeah, I love the Hunger Games, but it took a lot of NPR prodding to get me to start to read it, and then it was like up all night reading it, right? So yeah, I love historical fiction, obviously, and I can't believe I just said I'm not really into dystopian because that's what you wrote. I'm such a jerk.
What's that? It's not really dystopian.
I know, it's not really. I don't know.
Okay, it takes place in the real world, so this world is not a dystopia unless you're super pessimistic.
I guess it's not. Yeah. Standalones. I'll leave it. I'll just put this down.
All right. The second one is, would you rather shop at Barnes & Noble or Amazon?
Oh my God. Rachel, you cannot ask us that question. Ooh, you're going to get us in so much trouble.
Yeah, we all plead the fifth on that one.
Ooh.
All right.
We'd both rather shop at independent bookstores.
I'll get a book from wherever I can get my hands on a book. Is that politically correct enough to say? Barnes & Noble has been really, really kind to me. It's just great, and the indies have been really, really kind to me.
Amazon hasn't been kind to either of us, so
Amazon delivers some really good stuff to my house, so it's usually books. It's usually dog toys. Yeah, dog toys.
All right. The next one is, would you rather all books become movies or TV shows?
Oh. Do we have to so books? Would I rather books become movies or TV shows?
Yep. All the books either have to be TV shows or movies.
All of them, Sharon.
Answer that one, Tom. You cannot. I would say movies. But my favorite book in the whole world, Outlander, is a TV show, and it needed to be a TV show. So. I can't answer that. I don't know.
You would lose it, Sharon. Outlander's gone. Let it go.
No. And then there's someone else's book is becoming a movie soon. Who's that?
I don't know if it is. They're just trying. They're trying.
Tell me, is yours optioned?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's so exciting.
It's options.
It is optioned. Yes. Yeah, it's been good. The next draft will. Oh, what's behind there? Wait, what's behind there?
An unladylike gesture.
Have they not optioned you yet? That's bullshit.
No, well, no, it's historical fiction. They don't do that, apparently.
Because it costs a lot. See, this is the thing about writing contemporary, Sharon.
Corsets
right?
cost a lot of money.
You know how much it costs to make my movie? Like $20.
I know, because you go to Old Navy and get those clothes for everyone.
Boom. Problem solved. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Though half of your characters are posing nude most of the time, right? So the costume budget.
Yes, exactly. You do finger puppets.
Yeah, I agree with Sharon, though. It's got to be movies. Just because, like, most books, you wouldn't want that much of it. 2 hours is enough. That would be enough for most.
Yeah.
Would you rather read 5 books per week or 5 books per month?
I used to read. Sorry, you go ahead. Sorry.
Well, year would be like a harder one to stomach, Rachel. You know what I mean? Because 5 books a month is pretty reasonable, actually. For most people with like jobs and stuff. Like I would read more if I had more time, but I probably read like 5 or 6 books a month. That's probably pretty standard for me. So that now if it were 5 books a week or 5 books a year, that would be a really painful choice then, because that is not enough books per year. But I probably couldn't pull up. You know what I'd do is I'd keep like a really big collection of those golden books for children, and I'll pick 5 books a week, and then I could just fill in the gaps with those.
Little kitten, then
There we go. That's my answer.
That's a good combo. Yeah, I'm gonna choose his answer too. Yeah, 5 books a week. So I couldn't do 5 books a year. So, but yeah, I'd throw in some like middle grade, and I'd throw in
Yeah, you can power through those.
Definitely no War and Peace or anything like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. The next one is, would you rather only read your top 20 favorite books over and over, or always read new ones that you haven't read before?
It's a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah, that is a good one.
Sharon?
New ones, I guess. New ones.
Yeah, she's right. I mean, it would be painful, but I don't know. I'd get so bored reading those 20 books. I mean, I love those books. They're great books, but I couldn't handle it. I need novelty.
Yeah.
Would you rather be a librarian or a bookseller?
I'd rather be a librarian because I'm really terrible at selling things. I can't work the cash register, and voids would like drive me nuts. And I would spend all my money on books, so I would starve to death, and it would be a terrible ending. So yeah.
Nice. Well, we can disagree for once. Yeah, I would go bookseller. I find that I really like bookstores. I feel really calm in bookstores. Libraries, you'd think they would be calming, but I don't find them particularly calming, particularly if it's like a school library. That I think would be kind of horrible. And power to the people who can do it, by the way, who I meet a lot of, and they are marvelous people, but I don't think I have what it takes. I think I would break down, it'd be bad news. So bookseller.
All right. So the next one is, only read your favorite genre, or every genre except your favorite?
That one's easy. I don't really, again, because of where my predilections lie, there's not a lot of genre. Like, I mean, I love all the genres, and I read them all, but I don't even think I have a favorite. So I have to plead out on this one.
Yeah, my genre, historical fiction. There's so many books, and there's no subgenre in historical fiction, so it's like there's so many choices. You hear that, people? There's so many choices in historical fiction. Start reading it.
So you would stay with historical,
yes,
rather than give it up. Okay, nice. All right.
Can't do it.
All right. And then the last one is, would you rather only read physical books or ebooks?
Oh, that's it. This one's easy.
Physical
right.
book.
All day.
Yeah. Turn the pages. Yeah. What are you reading? Hold still. What is it? Station 11. Ooh, that looks good. A novel.
Yeah, it's one of those sort of on the fence things where it was very much marketed as a literary novel for adults, but it's apocalyptic. It's like sci-fi-y, but it's like literary. It was on all the best of the year New York Times awards and stuff.
All right.
Wow.
Pretty good.
So can I ask you one of my questions now?
Go for it.
Do it.
Okay. How would you describe your fashion sense?
Whoa, that's so intense. Okay. Wow, you're gonna get this next, girlfriend. Um, Man, how would I? That is so hard because like here's the thing, right? The more the more successful you get as a person, the less you have to care. So I feel like I cared more. Like 2 years ago, it was a really big deal to me to like look really well put together. Now I'm just like a slob. Like the shirt is stained. Can you see? It's
Wow,
stained.
that's
It's
awesome.
stained. Can you see? It's like
I want to
gross.
ask what that is.
It's gross.
Yeah,
Um,
you're adorable. You could wear anything and get away with
No,
it.
no, I'm like a total hipster cliche. To actually answer your question, I'm like a total hipster cliche. I wear black jeans and a t-shirt or a button-down shirt every day. That's I'm very standard for my demographic. It's
No
embarrassing.
shame. No, no shame.
You know
Don't
who's
worry
the
about it.
you know who's the snappiest dresser that ever snapped a dress? Or
I
wait,
do.
that doesn't sound. John M. Cusick.
Yeah, our
That guy
agent
off
is
the bow
ridiculous.
tie.
Like
Yeah.
he's just in the sharp suit everywhere he goes. It's pretty real.
The
Okay,
pocket.
Sharon, your turn. What's
Okay,
your
my turn.
aesthetic?
I am geeky vintage sort of house dressy fit and flare dress. Yeah, I like vintage clothes.
Can you give us a spin? What is this dress you're wearing today? Is this a full dress?
This is
Oh,
a little,
that's nice.
this is a little
Ah,
sort of thing. Yeah, I like wearing dresses better. And then got my sort of horn rimmy glasses on.
I like it. It's good.
Thank you. I'm a
Yeah.
big fan of ModCloth. So they all
It's very
sell.
beautiful.
Mm.
Yes. But normally I'm not wearing stuff like this when I'm riding. I'm normally wearing yoga pants covered in cat hair and slobber. Yeah.
Nice.
Which is my slobber, not the dog's slobber.
Sure.
Yeah, hi, sorry. Okay, next question.
So first we have a comment. It's not really a question, but it's a comment, and it's by the YA reader, and she, I don't know which gender, says, "I'm so excited to read We All Looked Up."
Oh, thank you, the
Yay.
YA reader. That is very nice of you to say. I hope you like it. I hope you aren't disappointed. If you are, I will give you a full refund.
He will too. Gave me one.
Oh.
Sorry. I didn't
Burn.
I'm just kidding, of course. Okay. All right, do you want your next question? It's a good one.
Sure. Let's hear it. This is
Have you
exciting.
ever been to band camp?
No, I have never been to band camp. I'm sorry. Though it makes me think of American Pie ruined band camp because that is the first thing I think about now when I hear the phrase band camp. Isn't that horrible? That's horrible.
Because band camp. See, I played the violin and we were different. You know, the orchestra people were sort of like the gourmet chocolates of the high school music world. And yes, and the band camp people were like Skittles, you know. And I think I'm stealing this from a comedian who said this, by the way, and I'm trying to think of who it was. Sarah Val, I think. And I don't know what the chorus people were, but I was in chorus too. And I got an invitation to go to Interlochen for the summer. And Interlochen is a really cool camp. I think it's in Wisconsin. And we got a chance to have a French exchange student at our house. And I was like, no, I'm not going to Interlochen. I stayed home with the French exchange student.
Wow.
Another story. His name was Bertrand, and he wore lime green Speedos. Yeah.
Oh my! Is that a good thing?
No, it wasn't a good thing, but he was kind of hot. Yeah, so I remember him.
Did you make that happen?
Yeah, but I did go to horse camp. I did go to horse camp when I was younger, so I kind of love camp. Camp's great. Love camp.
Gotcha.
All right. Let me see. Let's see. If you could have dinner with any writer, living or dead, I don't know why you'd want to have dinner with a dead writer, but
Sure.
who would it be?
Yeah, I'd love the corpse of Dickens would be a real treat. That's really that is actually really hard. I think probably there are a lot of correct answers to this one, but I think I'll go with a weird one. There's a science fiction author named Samuel R. Delany. I don't know if you know him. His books are very, very strange, and bizarrely, I love him as a writer. I've never actually gotten through one of his books, which makes him sort of like a strange choice.
Yeah.
But it's because he's just this. He's maybe like 60 years old. He's black. He's gay. His book on writing is probably my favorite book on writing. I've read it many, many times, and he's just clearly unbelievably smart. He's one of those people that the reason why I haven't gotten through his books is that in some ways they're too smart, and I'm like a big Ulysses is probably my favorite novel. So like I can get up there, but he wrote books. He'd written six or seven books published by the time he was 21, and he composes for Renaissance instruments, and writes like orchestral pieces for Renaissance. He's just like a super genius, and I think just to like sit down with him and talk to him. And also I say that because I watched a DVD about him, which was very strange because it focused on the fact that he claims somebody's calling for Sharon. Maybe it's him. Maybe he's hearing the interview. He's like, I'm gonna call Sharon, and I'll wait until the ringing.
Keep talking. I'm right back.
Super professional, Sharon Biggs, Wallach and Friends. Just crazy professional. Is it Sam? Is it Sam for me? Oh my God, it's still ringing.
It is.
This is madness. All right, we'll give her a minute. Who was it? Was it my
I
mother?
stole that on my mother. Sorry. She lives just down the road, so I'll apologize a minute.
Gotcha. Oh, that's weird. Now she's calling me. Hello, Mrs. Biggs Waller. No,
My daughter.
He did this DVD, which was actually really strange because it was about his let's put it romantic life, and one of his claims to fame is I won't spoil it, but he's very famous for having had a truly stunning number of partners in his life, and you can look it up if you're interested. But the reason why I wanted to see the documentary is in the trailer, someone's interviewing him on a bus, and he's talking about teaching because he's a teacher like many authors. He makes his living as a professor, and he says that he tells all of the students that he wants everyone in the room to raise their hand for every question that he asks ever. And he says, and if I call on you and you don't know the answer, I want to hear you just say, I don't actually know the answer, but I'd love to hear what blah, blah, blah has to say, and move it along. And he says he wants to do that because he says, so many of his students, they go through their lives unable to ever, they're afraid to be heard at any point. And so they're if they can't raise their hand in my class, how are they going to raise their hand when they want to raise or when they need help? And he starts to cry. And he's just clearly the most beautiful human being. So that's a long explanation for why him. Sharon?
And you would get a slice, right? You'd go out and get a slice. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Let's see. I would have dinner with probably Diana Gabaldon because she wrote Outlander, which is my favorite book. I've actually met her a couple of times, and she's really cool.
Oh, wow, nice.
Yeah, she's really great. She actually thanks me in her acknowledgments of her latest book because I told her about a chicken that she added in the book, and it was like my proudest moment. And
Whoa.
I didn't know. Somebody tweeted to me, and they're like, "You're thanked in Diana Gabaldon's latest book." What are you talking about?
Did you explode?
Wow.
I love it, and it just reminds me, okay, it's really neat to be acknowledged, by.
That is an accomplishment.
Yeah, it was really cool. So it was on the bestsellers list. So that's probably the first time my name has been on the bestsellers list because I'm not like this guy who was on the bestsellers list. So.
15 out of 15 for 1 week.
Baby, chasing you. Okay. Yeah, with her. I would also probably like to have dinner with. Let me pick a dead one. Daphne du Maurier. Because she was pretty cool for her time. She wrote some really good stuff and kind of creepy. And
Rebecca's solid, man.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and I'd like to ask her why she never named that character. That's so cool. I mean, really, really cool. Can you imagine getting away with that now? Like, why haven't you named your character? Maybe she just forgot. I mean, there's probably nothing.
It could happen. It could happen.
I don't know. So.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a question from someone, and the question disappeared, but I know it, so I'm going to ask it anyway. I think maybe that person deleted it. That's fine. I'm going to ask it because it was good. And
nothing.
if you submit a question, I'm going to ask them that question. So it is. Let me think. It's if you were to take a book and make that book based on your hometown, which book would you? Does that make sense? Which book would you want a scene to be based in your hometown?
Whoa. Wait, I don't understand.
How did they word it?
Oh, okay. So, like, if you have your hometown, and there's a chapter in your book that you could put in your hometown, which chapter would it be?
Yes, in any book.
So, in Folly, I would probably put the riot, because I would just love to dust things up in my little town. It'd be really cool to have a bunch of suffragettes down at Dunkin' Donuts, chaining themselves up to the drive-through. That would be awesome. And Walgreens, like, votes for women, in the Walgreens. Although, so that would be kind of fun.
I don't think I can answer this question because my book takes place in present-day Seattle, which is my hometown. So the whole book does take place in my hometown. So I don't think I can answer that one, but I like Sharon's answer.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, we are almost done with the chat, so I'm going to ask you one more question. And it's a question that is asked a lot, so I'm going to ask you. And that is, what is some advice for aspiring writers?
Advice for aspiring writers. Oh, gosh, there's so much. Don't publish your first thing. Don't immediately leap to self-publishing. Writing a novel takes a lot of experience, and you're going to have to write several before you learn how to write long-form fiction. Most MFA programs and college programs focus on short form, the short stories, simply because they don't have the time to teach. You can't really read, the professor can't read novels, and really teach it. They sort of focus on short stories. And that short stories are great, but it's not long form. So the way to learn it is from writing it and getting feedback through people. You can also do some really good books out there on writing the novel that I think is great. But you just have to write and get your chops and get a lot of rejection. But I think people just have this feeling that it's their right to publish, and it's not your right to publish. It really isn't. It's an art form, and you want to really protect the art form. And it's sort of like you wouldn't go out and just go, I'm going to sing and play the violin in Carnegie Hall because it's my right. No, you learn how to play the violin, you learn how to sing. You wouldn't just immediately go out there and start, playing scales and thinking everybody's going to admire you. And in that same vein, I think it's important to realize that publishing is not like winning the lottery. That writing to me is a great privilege. Telling stories is a great privilege for me. And it took me 14 years to publish my first book. But that whole time I was writing. And I take it very seriously. I really want to put the best work out there that I can. And I go through Viking is a very, sort of long editing process that you go through, which is very good, and I think that's important. So understand that it's an art form. Just because you can write a good description doesn't mean you're ready to be published, and so just don't immediately jump. You're doing yourself a disservice if you go straight to self-pubbing. Oh God, Tommy, if I had self-published a lot of my stuff, I would be cringing. No.
Well, that's true, but you better be careful because those people will come after you, man.
But the self-published people? Oh, well, wait, I should probably say something because I don't want people to hate me about self-publishing. Self-publishing, and it has a great thing, and I'm not saying that someday, stop laughing, Thomas. I'm not saying that someday I would not self-publish, but I was listening to, I'm going to...
Is somebody backing up? Is somebody backing up? Does anyone hear that?
Let me just say, do not, what my point was do not immediately leap to self-publishing, okay? If you're going to self-publish, put yourself through the editing process. Pay for an editor, all of that stuff. So, make sure that you are perfectly ready to be self-published. Okay, I really want to make sure that self-publishing isn't bad. But there's a lot of people who just jump to self-publishing that shouldn't be self-published. Okay, go. I'm just like gonna light a fire on my career right now.
No, Sharon's gonna like be mysteriously dead tomorrow morning, and like it'll be like, what happened? And like, um, no, I agree with everything you said, and you were so complete about it that I'll just piggyback on your stuff. I actually have a real pet peeve about the short fiction thing in college, so it's really funny you brought that up. I talk about this all the time at events. MFA programs focus on short stories, and you know, I come from wanting to write literary fiction, so I do get it, but like nobody cares about short stories, and I hate to be rude about that, but it's just the reality. People who are writers care about short stories.
Yeah.
And people who are like real lifelong serious readers care about short stories. But the world does not care about short stories. Everybody on this planet almost has a favorite book. Very few people have a favorite short story. It's very rare that people can say what their favorite short story is, or a few. And the fact that these university programs that people are paying $100 grand to go to teach them to write short stories is insane, and it makes me really angry. But anyways, that's a side note. But that's absolutely right. Everything Sharon said, it really is. It's about doing a whole lot of work. I was 12 years and 6 other novels before this book happened, so we have a very similar background. And I was not angry ever. And I really mean that. I was sad because getting rejected is sad, but I never thought to myself, this is bullshit. I really didn't. I never thought, like, that book was amazing. How could it not be published? I really, every time I got rejected, I always thought, crap, I still haven't written anything good enough. That is so heartbreaking because I tried so hard. But I do, both of us, I think, get a little, when you come from our background in particular, where you've tried for so long, when people get very much like, I'm really good at this and it's crazy that like publishing won't recognize it, it's like, well, it really is a meritocracy. It really is. In William Goldman, who wrote Story, the screenwriting book? Was it William Goldman? No, Robert McKee. I'm sorry, it's Robert McKee. He says early in that book, when you go to the movies, when you look at the movies that are out right now, he says, those movies that are out represent the best screenplays that were written in the past year. Now, you might think, oh no, like the real talented people, they just couldn't get heard. No, that's not the truth. What you're seeing is the best that got written. That's the great thing about being a writer, more than being a musician, I think more than being a fine artist, like a painter or a sculptor. I think those businesses have a lot more randomness in them. Like you just hit, and what makes somebody better than somebody else is really like subjective. With writing, I don't think it's true. I think that if you are incredibly talented and you keep working at it, you will absolutely eventually make a career out of it. Like, I believe that.
Totally do too. Yeah, I agree. It might not be a lot of money, but yeah, it's absolutely true. And again, just keep working and realizing that rejection is sometimes protection, and that it just means you're not ready yet.
I like that. Rejection is sometimes protection.
Yeah,
I should have used that in middle school and high school.
Yeah, but it does hurt. I mean, it really does. People say, oh, you need to have a thicker skin, and but no, as a writer, you have to have a very, very translucent skin, because how are you going to write if you don't? You can't have a thick skin and be a writer. So you just have to kind of, protect yourself from it as best you can, learn the best you can, and write just, from your heart, and story you want to write, not somebody else's or what sells. And that's the other thing too. You're asking people to invest. I think it's something like, I remember going to a SCBWI thing, and they were saying before a picture book gets published, it's $50,000 they invest into a picture book. So they're putting a lot of money out there, and if they've already got 5 Downton Abbey type books, they're not going to choose mine. And you need an advocate, you need an agent like John. John has the cool thing about John Cusick is that he picks books out that nobody else wants or really finds a place for, and he becomes the advocate for them. You will never see John with the same types of, he has so many different kinds of books, because he's like, okay, I think I can run with this, and nobody else wanted us. We were sort of like the island of the misfit toys, and he finds a place for us. And so you need that advocate. You need an agent. And finding an agent's not easy. I mean, Tommy sent 80 people, and I lost count after a while because it was too depressing. You know?
Yeah.
So this is why Tommy and I will follow John anywhere. No matter what, to the end.
All right, so now I'm going to be talking about the giveaway. Sharon and Tommy are going to give away their books.
Yeah.
So Sharon is doing a Mad Wicked Folly, and Tommy is giving away We All Looked Up. Both are USA only.
Mm-hmm.
And in order to enter, you must do one thing. This YouTube, or not, it's not YouTube yet, this live chat is going to become a YouTube video. And when it becomes a YouTube video, I'd like you to comment on that video with a way to contact you. If you win, it could be an email, it can be your Facebook, your Twitter, whatever you feel comfortable with, whatever it will take. If you win, I just need to be able to tell you that you've won. And this will end next Monday. No, actually, this is Tuesday. So next Tuesday. It's going to end next Tuesday. So I want to give a big thank you to our authors here. Thank you so much for giving your time to this interview.
No problems.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thanks so much.